Most people think redundancy means having a spare. That's not wrong, but it's incomplete in ways that matter. Welcome back to the channel. What I'd like to do today is talk about what redundancy actually is and why many households that think they're covered are actually fragile underneath. This is not about buying more kit. It's understanding how capability survives failure. Simply put, redundancy is having a duplicate or backup system, component, resource, or function ready to take over if the primary one fails. The simplest form is duplication. This is owning more than one of the same item. For example, owning 3 identical headlamps. This protects you against simple component failure. Things break, electronics die, accidents happen. Duplication is the starting point of resilience. This is often summarized as 2 is 1, 1 is none. But duplication only protects you against failure of the item itself. It does nothing to protect you if all copies fail at the same time. If all your firelighting relies on matches, wet conditions can make every box useless. If all your cooking relies on electricity, a power cut can remove the function entirely. If all your water comes from one source, a contamination can ruin the lot. The items didn't just all fail individually. They failed together because they all share the same vulnerability. This is where simple duplication reaches its limit. You can still have spares and yet lose your capacity. Dissimilar redundancy means having multiple tools which achieve the same end goal. Not copies, but alternatives. They provide essentially the same capability, but have different modes of failure. For example, you have a saw, a hatchet, and a fixed blade knife. They're all cutting and processing tools. But the saw can lose teeth, the hatchet can be dull or chipped, and the knife can become blunt. If one tool fails mechanically, the others are not affected by that failure. This is redundancy that doesn't all collapse at once. Not because you own more, but because you own different. But there's still a problem. Even dissimilar redundancy can fail together. This is because the question isn't just what you own, but where it is. 3 keys don't help if they're all in the same pocket. Geographic redundancy is about separation. Not different tools, but different places. It means ensuring that all backups are not removed by the same event. Fire, flood, theft, and so on. These are not rare edge cases. They're common ways that capability can be lost. If all your equipment is stored together, then it can all be lost together. If all your power is in one room, then losing that room, you lose all your power. Geographic redundancy reduces the risk by spreading the capability. Different bags, different rooms, different buildings where appropriate. The goal is simple. A single incident should not remove every way you have of fulfilling a particular goal. This is why redundancy that looks strong on paper can still fail in real life. Because it exists in theory, but not in space. Another form of redundancy is worth mentioning quickly. It doesn't tend to apply so much to preparedness in the domestic sense. Temporal redundancy is about spreading risk across time rather than across space or between different items of equipment. In practice, this is often lining things up so that they don't all fail at once. Buying consumables in batches so they don't all fail at the same time. Replacing things gradually rather than buying everything in one go. Another way this can apply is in prioritizing tasks. If you do something on Thursday, knowing there's still a slot available to do it on Friday, then it gives you a second chance. So far, we've talked about redundancy as a design problem. It can also be a constraint issue. Space is limited, money is limited, complexity has costs. In the real world, you can't just keep adding redundancy without limit. PACE is a planning framework which helps you decide how far redundancy goes. It stands for primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. Your primary method is what you expect to use every day. Your alternative is a robust solution that can easily replace it. The contingency is less convenient, slower, or more limited, but essentially still workable. And the emergency option is the last resort. Crude, but perhaps still functional. For example, our primary source of power may be the national grid, but we can have solar panels that we can use as an alternative. A contingency may be a generator, fueled, ready to go. And the emergency may be a supply of lanterns, candles, and wood stoves for heating and light. PACE is not about owning 4 of everything. It's about accepting a certain level of degradation of capability. Each layer does less, but it keeps the capability alive. PACE is one way of stopping redundancy becoming endless, expensive, and poorly thought through. But there's another side to that coin. A Swiss Army knife, for example. It's not the best knife, saw, or screwdriver. You wouldn't want it as your main tool for any of these tasks. But when something goes missing, or isn't accessible, or you want something versatile to carry around with you, then it does give you a capability which stretches across multiple tasks. It doesn't replace proper tools, it gives you versatility when things change. Most redundancy looks solid until we pressure it. Tell us in the comments below, what area do you think your capability is the most fragile? Be honest, that's where the learning is. Thank you for your time and attention, and I look forward to our next video.